That's good. That's good, Pastor.
You're not the center of the universe. So he's already.
There's some foreshadowing going on right here. I want to stop you right here because I just. What's going on? Welcome everybody again to another episode of the C3 Podcast. I am Minister Robert Webb, and I am here with our pastor, Dr. Earl Grant Jr., and we are excited to continue this C3 Podcast as we continue to dive deep into unshakable faith. And Pastor, how you feeling today?
Pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Hanging in there.
That's good. So we're getting ready to start the next few of these episodes, and we're going to be talking about unshakable wherewithal. And in that, we're talking about the capacity to bless and be a blessing to generations after you. And today, in this episode, we're talking about unshakable wherewithal with Isaac. And I want to give you that. We're in Hebrews 11, and this is verse 20. And it says, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. That's Hebrews 11, verse 20 from the New Living Translation. Pastor, before we dive deep into this episode about unshakable wherewithal, can you help us with the definition of wherewithal? Because I think some people don't know what wherewithal is.
Okay, that's a good question. So wherewithal means that with which to do something. It speaks to the means, the resources, or ability that's necessary to accomplish a task, or to meet a need, or to fulfill a particular purpose or plan. So when we talk about the wherewithal, it means that you have that which you need to make something happen.
Gotcha. Okay. Have what you need to make something happen. And here in this verse, we're talking about Isaac blessing his sons, Jacob and Esau. But you know, this is a funny and interesting story here. We're talking about blessing and having the wherewithal to be a blessing. Talk to us about what is a blessing.
Well, from God's standpoint, a blessing includes both that which is spiritual and that which is physical. And so as it relates to the blessings that we'll be talking about, God's blessings through the patriarchs, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, started with Abraham. The blessing included a promised seed and a promised land. And so with that blessing, though, is the main way by which God is going to ultimately bless all of us through that seed, which culminates in the person of Jesus Christ. And so that had to be passed on. And so that blessing that God is providing here is to show us that he has promised us something, and he keeps his promise.
That's good. That's good, Pastor. So talking about this particular verse with Isaac, it says by faith. And again, unshakable faith is where we started. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. Can you give us kind of some cliff notes about Isaac and him blessing Jacob and Esau?
Okay. Well, when you look at it, Isaac, is married to Rebekah. And for a while, they don't have any children. And then Rebekah gets pregnant, and she has twins. And with that, Esau is the oldest. But when Esau is born, Jacob comes out. He's holding
Heel grabber.
He's holding Esau's heel, so he's already.
There's some foreshadowing going on right here.
He gonna be grabbing some stuff,
Uh-huh.
trying to get something. So anyway, it's a challenge. So they have some family dynamics, but which shows us that even though their family and like the rest of our families can be described as dysfunctional, all of us got some dysfunction
All of us got some.
in our families. So they are not the exception. But the scripture says by faith. That's what sets them apart.
Yeah.
That's what ultimately sets us apart is by faith. What we do, how we engage in being a blessing and all this is by faith.
And Isaac had the wherewithal by faith to bless Jacob and both Esau. Can you talk to us about what it is that Isaac is blessing Jacob and Esau with? And it's interesting, I'm reading this, that although Esau was born first in this verse, Jacob is mentioned before Esau. I just looked at that. But talk to us about what is Isaac getting ready to do and when it pertains to him blessing his sons.
Well, in general, a blessing then, when God is blessing or when he uses us to be a blessing, the blessing suggests, first of all, that there is a future. So he's blessing them, indicating to them that there is a future.
That's good.
And so this blessing is helping them see that where you are now is not where you're going to end up. So there is a future. There's more to come. Not only does it indicate that there's a future, but a blessing, when you bless someone, it indicates that you have something to offer. So it not only does it speak to future, but it says, I'm offering you something. I'm able to give you something that you do not now have. And you can't get without this blessing.
You know, I want to stop you right here because I just thought about something when you talked about being blessed means that you have a future or that there is a future. And oftentimes when we think about blessings, we think about blessings in the moment. It comes right here in the moment and Lord, thank you for blessing me to be able to pay my light bill. But this blessing that we're talking about here is a blessing that allows you to see that there is a future.
Yeah, there's a future. There's more to this than what you have. But a blessing also lets you know and reminds you that you're not the center of the universe. So you are the conduit. You have been blessed to be a blessing. But you got to know from whom the blessing comes. And you're not it. You're just
the conduit.
There you go.
So blessing signifies that there is a future. Also means that you, as the blesser, the one that is bestowing the blessing, you have something to offer. But even in you having something to offer, you should understand that you are not the center of the universe.
Right.
What you have is to be a blessing to other people.
Yeah.
So what is Isaac about to or wanting to bestow upon his sons, Jacob and Esau?
He's going to pass on to them what was given to his father, Abraham, that there is going to be this promised seed and this promised land, and you're going to be recipients of that because God has promised it. And so it's being passed on. You may not realize it, but you are a part of the means to get it. And so it's passed on. And therefore, Abraham passed it on to Isaac. Isaac is now passing it on to his son, in particular Jacob. He does bless Esau, but Esau doesn't get this blessing. He doesn't get the blessing of being the means by which the promised seed and the promised land is going to come. That's going to come through Jacob and his offspring. And so you got to understand that there's a different blessing.
Right. And now that you mentioned that, we already foreshadowed in mentioning that when Jacob came out, he was holding on to Esau. And again, reading this verse, I'm like, okay, Esau was the firstborn, but of the twins, but Jacob's name is mentioned here first. And talk to us about the plot twist and this blessing being bestowed upon Jacob and Esau.
Well, in this whole scenario, when you read the story in Genesis, you find that Isaac is trying to manipulate the blessings, because God has already stated that Jacob is going to be the one that's going to be blessed, but Isaac now is sort of deceptively trying to bless Esau without letting the rest of the family know. However, Rebecca overhears.
She ear hustling
the conversation. So she finds out about it. So now she engages in some deception, and tells Jacob to go do, get ready. She's gonna dress him up and put him on stuff to make him feel like Esau, and she's gonna make the meal for Isaac and all this, and put him in there first, and because the dad is old and can't see well and all of this, and so while Esau is out trying to hunt for a meal, Rebecca and Jacob are making a meal and putting it before Isaac to get the blessing. And so and all of that creates what we talked about is what are the ingredients for a mess, because they made a mess.
They made a big mess.
Everybody's making a mess. And so the first ingredient for a mess can be birth order. So you can get hung up on, well, I'm the oldest, I'm the youngest, I'm the middle, or whatever, and that kind of thing. And so you can get sidetracked by the order of your birth. That was a problem. And then the next ingredients in a mess, if it's not just birth order, is favoritism.
Talk about it.
Because Isaac favored Esau. Rebecca favored Jacob. So now we got favoritism. And it's not to discount the fact that each child is unique. Each child has their own identity. And so you can't say, well, I'm going to treat each child the same, because we have to tailor in parenting how we discipline, how we direct each child. However, that should not allow for favoritism. Then the next ingredient for a mess is distrust. So when there is not trust in the family, there's going to be some mess. And so now you got Rebecca not trusting Isaac, Isaac not trusting Rebecca, because they both doing things underhanded against each other to get what they want for the child they favor. So there's distrust. And then distrust leads to deception. Now you got the whole mess. Yeah.
The ingredients for a mess.
Yeah.
But after all of that, the blessing is still able to be bestowed how it needs to be bestowed upon Jacob and Esau. So how do we get out of this mess into the blessing being passed on to Jacob and Esau?
Because Isaac realized at the end
Mm-hmm.
that God's will was going to be done. And so he would not try to reverse the blessing. He continued with the blessing that God intended in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
even though they both went about it the wrong way.
Mm.
But God still got the blessing where he wanted it to be.
Mm.
And so with that, as we wrap this up, that says God's promise to bless always prevails.
Mm.
We can't undo, we can't stop, we can't reverse. When God promised something, it's going to come to pass. And then you have to know that God's promise to bless is a gift and not a right.
Mm.
It's his gift to whom he chooses to bless. And then God's promise to bless us today is ours through Jesus Christ.
There it is. Unshakable wherewithal, the ability to have resources and the means to be a blessing and pass on the blessing, in our case, of Jesus Christ to those who are walking, not knowing that there is a Savior that has died for them, that died, rose up, went away, and is coming back. So again, we appreciate you guys being here with us on this episode of the C3 podcast. Again, I'm here with our pastor and master teacher, Dr. Earl Grant Jr. We will see you next time.
Well, hello, and thank you for joining the C3 podcast of Covenant Community Church. We are delighted and excited that you chose to be with us today. And if you have any questions or comments that you would like to share with us, we invite you to go to our website at mycovenantcc.com, fill out our virtual connection card, share your comment or your question, and I promise you we'll get back to you as soon as possible.